Good morning, everyone. Yes, you heard that correct. I got up early to make this video. It is 8 o'clock in the morning, and today I'm here to talk about my sound system. So generally, when I get questions about the sound system, it is on and loud, and I'm not able to answer any of them. So today I'm going to clear all those things up, and we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into how it works, why I set it up this way, and all things similar to that. So let's get into it. So to start out, I'll give a little bit of details on the components of the system. So for starters, the main speakers, I got this one here and that one there. They are TurboSound TVX 152s, and they are set up in biamp mode. So what that means is that I'm able to run the woofer and the tweeter fully independent from each other. The way I had that done is over the NL4 speak-on connectors. There's 4 wires in it. So I have the 1 plus and 1 minus running the woofers, and the 2 plus, 2 minus running the tweeters. Then my monitor speakers right here, these are JBL, I think they're JRX12s or something. They're older monitors, but what I did was I took them apart and I replaced the horns in them with newer Celestion compression drivers. Much cleaner, more crisp sound than the old JBL ones. They were kind of garbage, can't lie. These are both able to be pole mounted and lay as wedges. These speakers are only meant to be pole mounted, but they have 2 different pole cups, so they can be kicked forward at an angle or up straight. For the amp rack here, so this is actually 3 amp racks. We got the top, which is a 4-space, the middle, which is a 2-space, and then the bottom, which is a 4-space. So from top to bottom up here, the first thing, this is a digital Bluetooth receiver. And this is pretty much so no matter what, I can always just set the system up and immediately connect to it and start playing music if I just want to listen to music, or I just want to use the system without having to connect an external mixer or a DJ board or whatever. And this is also a digital output. So this goes SPDIF coaxial out of this directly into the sound processor. Next device is the sound processor. This is a BSS Blue 16. This is pretty much the exact same as the newer version, which is the BSS Blue 100, which is found in a lot of commercial installations. It's not super often for something like this to be used on a mobile sound system. It's more for installed sound, but I prefer this for a lot of different reasons that I'm going to get into later in this video. Next up, my favorite part, got the amplifiers. So these are Labgruppen clones. These are not the originals. These are made by a company called Sanway, and they're pretty much one-to-one identical clones. We got the FP14000. Next down, we got another FP14000. Both of these are running the subwoofers. So one channel goes to each sub. There's 4 subs in total. Next down, we got the Crown XLS 1002. This is only for running the high frequency drivers in these 2 speakers. Then next down, we got another Labgruppen clone. This is the FP10000, and this is a 4-channel amplifier. This is running 2 channels on the monitors, another 2 channels on mid drivers of the main speakers. So let me grab this and we'll go around the back. So taking a look inside of the rack here, coming out of the processor, this is wired directly into this amplifier here, and then this amplifier jumps to this one. I have this all set up modular so that I can carry each one of these racks individually and not have to bring all this in at once, because it would be very heavy otherwise. Each one of these racks weighs like 45 pounds. This one's right around 45. I think this one's around 35. So it is a little bit of weight. So each rack has its own power cord. This one actually has 2 because the processor is powered separately from the amplifier. That's because these amplifiers pull an insane amount of electricity if you let them. I've seen these things pull up to 37 amps if they're clipping. which obviously is not ideal, but you got to test it to figure out what they can do. So they each have their own independent line because I always like to have these on a fully separate circuit from the processor. So if I ever do trip a circuit, I only lose the subs and not the tops. Then I normally plug this rack directly into the outlet inside of this rack. These two both have outlets that I installed inside of them that have cords connecting to them. So that way I can connect directly to these amps, and it makes the setup a lot easier whenever I take this system out and use it anywhere. Then right here, we got the patch panel. Also, this is mainly just to make things easier for setup. LAN is a direct input to the wireless router that lives in here. This is to access the sound processor and for my phone and the iPad to connect into it. Then SPDIF input. This is how I normally run DJ systems into here. Whenever I'm using Pioneer DJM mixers, they have an SPDIF coax output, and I just have an adapter that goes right into here, so that way I can keep the signal fully digital from start to finish. There's no D to A conversions, and by doing that, it very much so minimizes the potential of any real clipping going into this system and makes my job as a sound engineer infinitely easier. Next up, we got the analog left and right. This is if any console that I'm using does not have a digital output, or if I'm using a fully external mixer, if I'm mixing a band or something, I would go into here. Then we got microphone 1 and 2. Microphone 2 also functions as an aux input that's selectable within the system in the processor, which I'll be showing later in the video. Then monitor outputs left and right. These are coming out XLR, and they go directly into channels C and D on the bottom amplifier going to the monitors. I have these set up like this so that I can also plug these into any other set of speakers very easily without having to directly patch into the processor here. Then FOH output, this is actually just an aux output, but generally what I use this for is to go direct from the rack over to the console over there so that I can run, excuse me, a direct feed of whatever's going through the system into the sound reactive software when I'm running visuals and stuff like that. Then over here, high frequency, mid frequency output. This is over a single Cat6, and this goes directly into here. And the reason I did this through the Cat6 instead of 4 XLRs is because it is very easy to accidentally mix up the XLRs, especially if I have somebody helping me. And that would be a detrimental problem most of the time if you're mixing up the high frequency and the mid frequency. So I keep those separate just so it's an easy single connection from one to one. Next down, we got this amp. Channel 2 output is jumping into here. All 4 of these channels are just jumping together because all of these subs are going to be doing the exact same thing. Then you got the NL4 outputs. Again, the same way with bi-amping those speakers, I'm using all 4 wires in these so that the subs are able to have 1 plus, 1 minus, 2 plus, 2 minus, and I'm able to jump from one to the other and minimize the amount of extra cabling that I have. Then down here at the bottom, this is the amp rack that runs the highs and mids and the main speakers. So I got the monitor outputs left and right. These are also wired the same way, where this one is set up as 1 plus 1 minus, and this is set up as 2 plus 2 minus. So I can either plug a line directly into here and then jump this speaker to there and still preserve the left and right without having to parallel anything. Or the way I have it wired right now, I can have 1 wire from each going directly into here. So this really helps out with if these are further away and these are going to be around a DJ where, these 2 speakers are only like 10 feet away from each other, but they're 50 feet from the rack. So I don't have to run 2 50-footers. Then the main left and rights come out, go to there, go to there. Inside of here, this is all just done with 12 gauge wiring. And you can see right there the NL4s that are going into the amp that have all the wiring to go to the patch panels. So you can see right here on the back of the speakers, these are selectable for passive and bi-amps. I don't really have much of a reason to run them in passive mode, but it is super helpful if anything ever goes wrong, if I lose an amp channel or something. Super easy to just flip the switch on that one or the other one and switch them right into regular passive mode. Next up, we're going to talk about the subs. So these are my own design. I built these over the winter. And from the back, we got two NL4 inputs, like I said earlier. This sub is 1 plus, 1 minus. Next sub is 2 plus, 2 minus. And the same thing for the other two, so that one can pass the signal to the other without needing to be paralleled. They all have RCF heavy-duty subwoofer caster wheels on them, so they're super easy to move around. They can even roll on grass pretty easily. Got metal corners on them to protect them. Those have been super helpful because these have fallen out of my truck before, and nothing happened to any of them. Well, it only happened with one of them. But yeah, metal corners, I highly recommend them if you're building subwoofers, because otherwise you might get some damage. Then I got the handles on the sides. Each one has 2 handles for carrying. Each one weighs about 115 pounds. So you can pick them up by yourself. It's not super ideal, but it is possible. They also have a lot of different feet on them, and the feet are offset so that they're able to butt up next to each other perfectly. And with feet on the bottom too, so that these can lay horizontally or that's a great word, horizontally, or they can be set up vertically like this. So these are all very large slot port enclosures. They are tuned to 32 Hertz. They're made from 3/4 inch birch plywood. On the front here, you got aluminum grills that are painted black, and I got some foam behind here to stop the vibration. Then this inner bezel here, these have LED strips lining them. These are WS2812 LED strips, so they're fully programmable. And they connect back here through these XLR connectors and go into this little controller unit right here that I made. So this switch on the side here, there's a long distance SPI receiver that plugs directly into my main lighting system if I wanted to run independent control, because I have independent control of every single pixel that's on the lights on the front of these. And I switch that switch over, and that goes to the direct control from the laptop. Flip it that way, and there's another controller inside of here that's just a very basic Bluetooth controller that I can run everything off of my phone. That's what I'm currently using right now for this demonstration. That's great for if I don't want to bring the entire system out and I just want to run like a solid color or a simple color scroll or something like that. As for the woofers, these are very high excursion woofers. These have 29 millimeters of X-Max each direction. So that's about 6 centimeters of travel in total, which is a lot. It's a lot more than most subs on the market. I mean, I actually don't know any subs on the market that are able to move that much. Generally, subs are going to have, a paper surround, and they're not going to move much more than 10 millimeters, if that. So that's one of the big benefits to these subwoofers, is that they're 18-inch, but they move a lot. So they can take a lot of power, they can move an insane amount of air, and they are very, very, very durable. I mean, I've had these things clipping at max volume to a point that they were smoking. I only did this with one of them by accident one time a couple years back, and it was fine. I mean, it stunk up an entire venue from how hot the thing got. And I let it cool down, I turned it back on, it was perfectly fine. There's absolutely no other subwoofer for PA use that you would be able to do that with. Anything else would have completely vaporized and would have needed to be replaced. So that's why I go with a design like this as opposed to using conventional paper subwoofers. These are not the most efficient of woofers. They're very heavy. It's like a composite cone material and also a foam surround. So they take a little bit of power to get out of their own way, but once you get them moving and when you have enough power, which I do, having 14,000 watts, so I guess it's 28,000 peak between the 4 subs. So they can take an insane amount of power. Another thing that's great about these is that I'm not gonna say that these woofers are waterproof because they're not, but one of these was left out in the bed of my truck during a rainstorm by accident, and the entire thing was filled up like it was a mixing bowl. I mean, it was just completely filled with water, and it sat like that overnight. I brought it home, I tipped it over, I got all the water out of it, I let it sit in the sun. That was 3 years ago, and it is still kicking just like it was brand new. And once again, there's no other paper subs that you would be able to do that with. They would have been destroyed. I'm not going to talk about what brand these woofers are because, I mean, I can't tell you guys everything. Let's be realistic here. But this is by far my favorite subwoofer design that I've ever made. They have never let me down, and they are just violently powerful, and they go super, super low. These subs are able to hit 25 hertz clean. You can feel it. I mean, it like moves your pants. Like it's ridiculous. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about this sound processor. First, I want to talk about this one. This is what I originally used, and this is what I upgraded from, because when you're using a processor like this, these are great. Don't get me wrong. I highly recommend this to anyone that is not using a digital sound processor in their system, but you are very limited with this. You get what you get. It's all fixed control. There's no way to change anything. Whereas this processor, this is fully open architecture, which means that when you get this thing out of the box and you plug it in, it will do absolutely nothing. It will not pass audio. And the reason for that is because you have to program everything from start to finish. And over here, that is exactly what I did. So this is my own custom mixer panel. This is very, very simple. And the reason I set this up this way is because when I'm using any other digital mixer or like the digital control that comes with the Drive Rack PA, it has a button and a fader for everything. And a lot of the time it just has a bunch of stuff that you're never gonna need during a show. So it just leaves a lot of room for stuff to get messed up, especially if I have to hand this to somebody. The probability of somebody messing something up is huge. Digital mixers are great, but it's kind of like a jack of all trades where, you know, it's got control of everything. You can do everything with it, but you're not necessarily going to need everything when you're running a show. So by doing it this way and building my own custom mixer panels, I only have what I actually need. So right here, digital, this is the SPDIF input that would come from a DJ console. Analog is the XLRs on the back that would come from a mixer or a DJ console. Bluetooth is the Bluetooth adapter that's in the top of the rack. Microphone is the microphone input. Then for here, auxes, these are the start of the outputs. Aux is the front of house output that normally goes into the console. Monitors goes to the DJ monitors. Then speakers and subs, pretty sure you can guess what that goes to. The mains and the subwoofers. Then got mutes for all of these. Now, if I need more control, I go to here, and this has all of my controls for when I'm setting up the system at the beginning of a gig. So for the digital and analog inputs, I have boost down here that is before these faders. I use this if I'm using a DJ console especially. I like to set the DJ console to -12, and then I'll come in here and then hit -12 and hit +12 on whichever input I'm using and boost it back up to unity, so I still have full throw of this fader, but the DJ isn't able to send a clipped signal out of the board into the processor. Then right here, this button that says Bluetooth, when I push that, it says pink. And what that means is pink noise. So that will send pink noise through this fader, and then it'll push that into all of the channels here. So this is great for when I'm tuning the system when I first get on site somewhere. just get the pink noise going. I set the levels to where I need them to be. It comes out of all the speakers, and then I use an RTA microphone to tune the system for whatever room I'm using. Then you just push pink again and it switches back to Bluetooth. Then over here, these 4 that say active are 4 of the equalizers. When you push them, it'll bypass it or activate it. So this is just to be able to tell if the equalizer is actually working or not in a beneficial way very quickly and easily. Then RL, LR, this is to switch the left and rights on either of these without having to physically switch any wires. Then here we got pre and post. This is just deciding if these are controlled before or after the input faders. Then these 2 mutes here are left mute and right mute. And this is a quick and easy way to figure out if the speakers are, if like both of them are on the correct side, so that I know whether I have to hit one of these left, right, reverse buttons or not. Then other controls that I have here, got a monitor mix page. So this is to control how much of each source is going to the DJ monitors. I can control each one independently, and then this is the same fader that's on those main pages. Then we got aux send mix, and this is just for that aux output that normally runs into here, and I have that same type of control. And then right here, we got high offset. So this is to control how loud the horns are in relation to the mids on the outer speakers. This is super helpful for if I'm running the system in a room that is getting hotter throughout the night, because when the air gets hotter, you lose a lot of high frequency, and I can very easily kick that up without having to mess with a parametric equalizer or something like that. This is another great reason for why I run these speakers bi-amped. Also for the fact that when these woofers in the main speakers are getting close to their maximum volume, the horns can still go double, if not triple as loud. So it's pretty much physically impossible for me to ever clip these horns on the main speakers, which I would not be able to say the same if I was running them in passive mode, because if they were in passive mode, when the woofers are clipping, so are the horns, because the signal that's going in is clipping. So by running them bi-amped, that guarantees that not only can I quickly adjust the high volume versus the mid volume, but I know with confidence, no matter what, I'm always going to have the crispest, clearest highs possible coming out of the speakers. So over here, this is inside of the open architecture DSP. So normally when you get a DSP like this, all of this stuff is not going to be here. You're only going to have that, and that, which is your inputs and outputs. So all of this stuff I put in here myself because it's all stuff that's needed for this system. So these are the inputs right here. First things first, we go through these 2 gain blocks, which is those the +6 and +12 boost on that first page. Then this is a source select for the pink noise versus the Bluetooth. Then these red things are signal meters. Then we go through the high pass filters. That cuts everything from 30 and below on the DJ inputs and 25 and below on the mixer inputs. Then the microphones I have passed at 150. Then down here, this is processing for the microphones. Got a gate, another gain adjustment, compression, and equalization. Then over here, we got the main mixer, and this has all of the mapping that goes to the different mixer panels in here. And also all of the aux mixes are mapped within this as well. Then next over, these are the blocks that function the left and right stereo swaps. Then we got the equalizers for everything, got the main EQ, got the sub EQ, got the aux EQ and the monitor EQ. Then here we got the crossovers. So this is my crossover for the main speakers. And like I was saying, the highs are dramatically louder than the mids when ran in biamp mode. So I'm able to turn them down a lot. So that's why I have that so much lower to get that to unity. Then got the sub EQ. I cross these subs at 70 hertz. That seems to sound the best with these, and the speakers pick up at 70 as well. Then same thing with the monitors. Then we got compressors. These compressors are used as limiters. They're just set as a brick wall, and the attack and release is set in relation to the lowest note that they need to be protected from. And I got the threshold set at 6 dB on all of those. Then I got my delays. That's just for if the speakers are in different positions to where they're going to be out of phase with each other because of the delays not lining up. Then metering, this is just stuff that goes back to the iPad again for the visual representation of what's going on. Trim block is adjustments that I make within the system that never get touched ever again. And then over here to the outputs. And now, the moment that we've all been waiting for, I'm gonna power up the amplifiers and we're gonna run some music through it. So currently I have all of these connected to a single 15 amp circuit. And like I said, these things are very power hungry, so I'm not gonna be able to turn this up very much. I'm hoping that later today, there's been a lot of construction going on in my neighborhood. And if they start up the bulldozer again, I'm gonna go plug this into the dryer outlet and make some serious noise. And if the cops come, I'm gonna blame the bulldozer. But for right now, we are just gonna do a quick, respectful volume demonstration just to kind of show the mixer and all of this how it works. So I'll slowly increase this and we should start hearing. Yep, there we go. This is my new song actually. It's called Caustic Meadows. I can mute these individually to hear the different speakers. So I just disconnected all the speakers from the amplifiers in the rack for demonstration purposes because I want to show you guys what full signal on this looks like and what full overload looks like. So we'll switch this over to the pink noise, get some signal going, and let's start with, we'll just bring everything up to unity first. So this would be, let's get to like top yellow. This would be right around maximum volume right here. And we look over here Got full signal coming through on all the amps. And as we see, all clean, no clipping whatsoever. Now, I'm gonna kick this into full overload, louder than this would ever be turned up. Let's just spike everything. Let's try to break something. And take a look over here. Would you look at that? Do you see any clip lights? Nope, no clip lights. You know why? Because the limiters are set right. You look over here, and these on the side, that's those compressors kicking in. So that's saying that that's topped out. She's got nothing left. Those limiters are doing their job. And we look in here, let's open up those compressors. You can see the gain reduction happening on there. Yeah, that's what it's all about. All right, if you made it this far in the video, it means you must be pretty fascinated with homemade sound systems. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking it out. In reflection, this system is, it's been great every time that I used it. This has been quite a few years in the making now of just trying to streamline everything. Originally, this started out as just kind of like a hodgepodge of gear set up in one rack that never really had a defined way that I would use it. It was very difficult to set up. I would be like adjusting things constantly on it. Now everything is fully streamlined. It gets set up the same way every time. It is extremely fast to set it up. I can have this whole system set up in like a half hour or 40 minutes, including tuning, which is infinitely faster than before. Before, the sound system used to be the most difficult part of doing events for me. It would take the longest out of everything. Now the sound system setup takes the shortest out of everything. So that's what it's all about. Constantly improving, constantly trying to make things better, more efficient. This system has been great. If anybody is interested in hearing it, stop by an event that I'm doing and we'll get it bumping. We'll shake some dirt loose off the walls. Maybe we'll knock some stuff over. Maybe we'll even trip a breaker or two. Thanks for checking it out. See you in the next one.